Indonesia has long been a top foreign investment destination for Japan. The country houses several large conglomerates, such as automotive maker Toyota, which has invested billions of dollars into the country and has recently announced a $1.8 billion plan to manufacture electric vehicles. SoftBank, another major Japanese firm, has been investors in Indonesian technology companies such as the GoTo Group. These and many more have helped pave the way for a better Indonesian economy and society. Yet, what seems to be lacking in the narrative is the Japanese government. Through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA for short, the Japanese government has been investing not just a few billions of dollars, but tens of billions of dollars to Indonesia. These are sometimes not even considered as investments, but rather aid, merely in the form of debt, but in very, very low interest debt. According to the official JICA website, their history of cooperation dates way back before the establishment of diplomatic treaties. In 1954, following Japan's involvement in the Colombo Plan, the country welcomed its first group of 15 trainees from Indonesia. Ever since the formal initiation of diplomatic ties in 1958, Japan has been a steadfast supporter of Indonesia. Notably, Japan stands as the most significant donor to Indonesia, contributing 45% of the total official development assistance, ODA, received by Indonesia since 1960. Furthermore, within the 190 nations and regions aided by Japan through ODA, Indonesia has been the top beneficiary, receiving 11.3% of assistance from 1960 to 2015. The deep-rooted and enduring relationship between Japan and Indonesia is evident. These are no small numbers, and they have echoed throughout every Indonesian for decades. Just take a look at what Japan did throughout Indonesia's most turbulent times. According to JICA, the total ODA amounted to more than 5.5 trillion Japanese yen up to the fiscal year 2016. That is 668 trillion Indonesian rupiah, or $49.5 billion US. Sumatra's economic growth has been driven by a 2,500-kilometer arterial road, about 60% of which was built with Japanese aid. The development of ferry services between Java and Sumatra reduced travel time from 5 to under 2 hours and increased daily ferry round trips from 1 to approximately 100. This significantly enhanced cargo movement between Jakarta's industrial areas and resource-rich Sumatra. In Jakarta's 274-kilometer toll road network, around 60% was constructed with Japanese help, including 98 kilometers of road design. Japan has also been contributing to the alleviation of traffic congestion in the Jakarta metropolitan area by endorsing the enhancement of the railway system since the 1980s. This includes supporting the development of 126 kilometers of rail, which constitutes 55% of the total 230 kilometers of rail infrastructure. Additionally, Japan has more recently been involved in the Mass Rapid Transit project, which encompasses Indonesia's inaugural subway line. As of 2016, Japanese official development assistance had led to the construction of power plants with a total capacity of 3,948 megawatts. When combined with the independent power producer, IPP, power supply operated by Japanese companies, the overall power capacity contributed by Japanese collaboration reached 10,963 megawatts. This represents 20% of the national power supply capacity. Since the 1970s, over 50 projects, funded by Official Development Assistance (ODA) loans, have been executed for irrigation facilities. These initiatives have led to the expansion of irrigated areas by around 370,000 hectares. Consequently, this expansion has played a crucial role in enhancing rice paddy production, now exceeding 2 million tons annually, markedly bolstering food security. Lastly, Japan has also consistently offered prompt support in response to global natural calamities, including the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, the 2006 Central Java earthquake disaster, and the 2009 offshore Padang earthquake. This multifaceted aid encompassed everything from sending Japan disaster relief teams to implementing recovery and reconstruction initiatives. Notably in Aceh, Japan's comprehensive aid spanned numerous sectors, from rebuilding infrastructure with a grant aid of 14.6 billion yen, approximately $130 million, to offering reconstruction help through an 11.6 billion yen, around $103 million, yen loan, and also included disaster education programs. Now let's take a look at the debt. Debt is a very important tool for Japan to help Indonesia. Japan has long been a lender of money. According to Bank Indonesia, the government and central bank's external debt, denoted in Japanese yen in January 2024, stands at $17 billion, and the bilateral debt directly from Japan stands at just $8 billion. Now that makes Japanese debt small, however, it is actually larger than any other country. The second is Germany, with $4 billion, followed by France at $3.6 billion. That's not all there is to it. Japan's loans to Indonesia have also been huge in the past few years. Back in 2013, the debt of Indonesia to Japan was over $20.9 billion. But what makes Japanese debt so special isn't just because they are big, but also due to their interest and repayment plans. According to the official ODA loan project data, some loans to Indonesia have an interest rate of just 0.01 to 0.1%. The construction of the Jakarta Mass Rapid Transit Project Phase 2 was officially approved in 2018. It was a 70 billion yen loan, repayable for over 40 years, and with an interest rate of just 0.1%. Compare that to Chinese loans, which according to various reports averages at 5%. How can one borrow at over 5% when one can borrow at just 0.1%? This is what makes Japan so special to Indonesia. It's that they are basically giving free money. However, a lot of people seem to not understand this. How can this be free money, they say? 0.1% will still reap a lot of benefits at the course of 40 years. That is, in fact, crazy. Because the economic growth provided by the project like Jakarta MRT will outweigh the cost of a 0.1% repayment loan. Even if the interest rate is at 1%, which is already 10 times more than the 0.1%, the economic growth from such a project will still outweigh the cost. What should even make Indonesians love Japanese more is their contribution to energy. The generation capacity through JICA's cooperation is unmatched and is important for Indonesia's economy. Without power, both cheap and efficient, economic growth will be slow. Yet they supported over 20% of the total national capacity of Indonesia. When the 1997 Asian financial crisis hit the country, which saw thousands of businesses, millions of people go bankrupt or experience financial stress, Japan stood and helped Indonesia. They provided emergency assistance to construct additional power plants, addressing the power sector's funding shortfalls, and supporting the recovering Indonesian economy. The crisis was no joke, and beneath it, a group of Japanese-led teams has helped them not only through loans, but education. During the crisis, a Japanese academic team provided economic policy support. Every 5 years since 1999, coinciding with presidential elections, the Japan-Indonesia Policy Forum discusses policy implications for new administrations. From the 2000s, Japan initiated technical cooperation projects in Indonesia in various sectors, including tax, debt management, monetary policy, public-private partnerships, budgeting, and social security, aiming to support economic reform, increase fiscal resources, and promote sustainable growth for Indonesia's advancement. Or to put it simply, they helped form a guide for Indonesia's economy. Now, besides ODA, FDI is also a huge player in Indonesia's economy. FDI is a term known as foreign direct investments. These are investments made by a company or individual in one country, in business interests in another country, typically in the form of establishing business operations or acquiring business assets in the other country, such as ownership or controlling interest in a foreign company. Indonesia's FDI rose from $195 billion in 2011 to $289 billion in 2016. Within this, the proportion of FDI from Japan also grew, expanding from 7.7% of the total investment to 18.7% during the same time frame. So, can you imagine what Indonesia would have been without Japan? Well, it is possible that some other country can help them, but then again, who? The reason why Japan helped Indonesia could be because of geopolitical interest, the desire for control, perhaps simply a desire to expand their influence in Southeast Asia. This, after all, also allowed the entrance of many Japanese firms. That could also be it, for the profit of Japanese companies. Regardless of their pursuit for profit, it is still for the betterment of Indonesians. But anyway, do let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.